Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here, and if you're a fan of beginner or entry-level sports bikes, we've got huge news out of Aprilia with the announcement of the RS457, slated to be the most powerful and best power to weight ratio bike in its class. Most powerful certainly looks to be true, best power to weight ratio, let's revisit that claim and some comparison points after all the other details, as this new offering is looking impressive overall and is due in August 2024 here in Australia, with no pricing yet announced anywhere I could find it. So Aprilia have had a glaring hole in their lineup for years, especially considering the popularity of the 300 to 400cc segment and the brand's strong history in racing and performance machines. Back when I started riding, the RS250 was a weapon, but was too powerful to meet Australian LAMs or beginner restrictions and was specifically excluded along with the RGV250, KR250, NSR250 and TZR250, oh the poor old two-strokes. Fast forward to today and Aprilia have announced that the new RS457 will max out performance to European A2 restrictions, which is currently 35 kilowatts or essentially 47 horsepower, and that is certainly the maximum allowed over in Europe, while our LAM system here in Australia is a little more complicated with a power to weight limitation, not an outright power limitation. So if you were hoping this would be a two-stroke, sorry, that is most definitely not the case. This is a parallel twin 4-stroke, as we're seeing more commonly in this class, but a choice which I'd say has benefits over the singles and certainly the restricted 4 cylinders. Details are honestly fairly light, like we don't have much as far as in-depth technical information at this stage, or even a torque figure, but what we do know is that the RS457 will get an electronic system. That'll mean ride-by-wire, ride modes with 3 modes to choose from, including torque and power delivery subsettings, traction control with 3 levels of adjustment as well as off, plus an optional accessory quickshifter. Of course, 35 kilowatts is still nothing earth-shattering as far as power, and some will ask if traction control or ride modes are really necessary, but to play devil's advocate, once you adopt ride-by-wire, you may as well run these systems, and of course from a commuter perspective, they are nice little inclusions that help keep the bike at the forefront of the tech loadout. The brake setup also looks to be class leading, running a Bybe radial mount 4-piston front caliper on 320mm front rotor, with the same brand providing the rear brake setup, and we're seeing a 220mm steel rotor at the rear. Dual channel ABS is also run with 2 maps, essentially offering regular ABS or deactivating the rear Supermoto style in the other mode. With no mention of cornering ABS here either, it's pretty clear Aprilia aren't worrying about an IMU and taking the extra step on the TC or ABS, which to be honest does seem like overkill. We also see a notable setup in the suspension department, 41mm inverted forks with preload adjustability for instance, which is a step up from what we generally expect in the class, while the monoshock is also preload adjustable, which is more the norm. Travel front and rear are 120 and 130mm respectively there too, and it goes without saying we're seeing 17-inch alloy wheels, although the front tyre will be a 110/70 and the rear will be a 150/60, which again is fairly normal for the class. Another standout feature is the aluminium frame, which is much more rare in this class of bike and matches more closely with the bigger Aprilia sports bikes. Included in that design is the crankcase being load-bearing as on the RS660, and Aprilia do mention this help keeps the weight down. The swing arm likewise is an aluminium banana type affair, which looks the business and helps provide that 175 kilo wet weight, which is quite competitive, but worth noting not the lightest in class. Other details include a 5-inch TFT display, full colour of course, backlit switch blocks and a low and clean belly exhaust exiting near the rear wheel, again helping with weight. Ergonomics seem more RS660 than full sports bike, with the clip-ons run above the triple clamps for a more road sport style layout, as Aprilia put it, with less weight on your wrists and towards the front of the bike for a more entry-level friendly rider option. Now, no pricing has been announced, as I said, but it is worth noting that this bike is produced in India, apparently at the Piaggio plant in Baramati, with speculation these will carry a heftier price tag than the RC390 for instance, which wouldn't be hard. I've also seen the bike compared to the Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR, which is a bit ridiculous to me, as while that bike does offer a restricted version, the full power is significantly higher. Now on the power to weight claim, the Ninja 400 in Australia currently claims 35 kilowatts too, and a slightly lighter weight figure of 168 kilos, or 7 kilos lighter, but it is worth noting that the claimed power of the Ninja 400 varies between markets. We're also talking manufacturer claim performance here, so these are all at the crank with lower at the wheel figures. It seems like we'll need to see some independent dyno figures to find out just who's the boss in this category. And some independent weights fully fueled wouldn't hurt either. But anyway, the RS457 looks a good match to the Ninja 400 anyway as far as power and weight. But obviously the Ninja 400 lacks the adjustable forks or electronics package or even those fancy brakes, even though its loadout is pretty good in the braking department. The RS457 should however come out ahead of the RC390 in the performance comparison with an extra 3 kilowatts, even if it looks like it'll weigh about 5 kilos more. The RS is closer to the RC in that both carry pretty formidable electronics loadouts, although the Aprilia lacks the cornering functionality and the more adjustable forks. I'm no doubt biased, but I do think the Aprilia looks better than the RC390 too. I would guess the RS457 will carry a premium over the Ninja 400, which for instance here in Australia retails for 9k out the door. I'd guesstimate the Aprilia at 9.5 to 10k out the door as well. On the one hand, Aprilia is a premium European brand. On the other hand, it's scary just how many riders have never even heard of them here in Australia, and they do need a beginner-friendly option to expand that awareness that doesn't scare people off with the pricing. After all, the KTM RC390 is available for quite a bit less than the Ninja 400 and is more in line with the Aprilia as far as loadout. As a final note, I'll also point towards that weight figure of the Aprilia with the aluminium frame and swing arm. A big complaint about the Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR was that the weight was too high, with many claiming this kind of chassis setup would be superior from a bike weight perspective. Now, it's very clear from this example that that's simply not the case. Weight seems fairly competitive, but not class winning or really very out of the ordinary for a parallel twin or single sports bike. How much better the ride may be remains to be seen, of course. Anyway, what do you think? Is Aprilia onto a winner with the RS457? Would you buy one? Is price a big consideration, or would it not matter? And is there anything that you think's missing on this bike? Let me know in the comments. As always, stay safe out there and thanks for watching.